Welcome to Trillium Healing Arts Peercast. I'm Julia Wolf, energy healer and transformative life coach. In these episodes, I sit down with members of the greater healing community to talk about ways to facilitate our growth, evolve into our true selves, and manifest our dreams. Here, we dive into the art of healing. I think I'd like to start today telling a little story about my morning walk. I try to take a walk into the forest every day. I moved here to Brandon in April, and what came into my mind was remembering my walks in Middlebury. And in Middlebury, I lived in a very pastoral area. And unlike here, taking a walk in the forest, I took a walk along the roadsides and had my conversations with the pony and the goats and the horses along the way. And one day I noticed that my whole body changed in this one section of the walk. And that section was the only forested part of the road. And I realized that my whole body expanded. And then I felt that if there was anything that I was carrying about the stress of my day or concern for the world, it went away. I felt bigger. I have Melanie Redel here, yoga instructor, Reiki practitioner, and she and I are going to talk about the art of healing through yoga. And Melanie, I hear you many times say, feel your spine brighten. And I think you and I are experiencing the same thing, and it's difficult to put words on what it feels like when the energy flows through us more freely. For me, that's what yoga is. So before we dive into the art of healing through yoga, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you see yoga?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for having me here today, Julia. This is a pleasure. I really enjoyed hearing what you just said because that is what I want practitioners to feel when they practice yoga, is that expansion of that divine spark of energy within radiating out into the world. So thank you for sharing that you actually feel that and that feedback feels good. So a little bit about me. This journey has been very interesting for me. I knew at a young age that I wanted to be a healer. Maybe I always knew that I was a healer. Raised in a lot of fear. It was instilled in me. And at a young age, I decided that I wanted to break away from that and march to the beat of my own drummer. And I put myself into some scary situations knowing that I would work myself out of them. And I discovered yoga in 2001 while I was living in New York City. And living in New York City in 2001 was a very interesting time. And I did it for the physical practice, and I did it to feel better. And I always knew that there was something deeper about it, but most yoga in our Western world is a physical practice with a touch of spirituality. And about 4 years ago, long story short, about 4 years ago, I decided to leave my corporate job in cybercrime and become a yoga teacher. And when I took my yoga teacher training, I learned something that I always knew, that it was a spiritual practice with a physical element, rather than a physical practice with the spiritual element. And the spiritual part of that is the energy. So then after practicing, what's that, 20 years now, practicing yoga before becoming a teacher, I always knew that there was something more, but I never had a teacher that explained that to me. So when I found my teacher, and she explained that to me, everything just clicked into place. It just clicked. So I vowed that that's the kind of teacher that I'm going to be. And through that journey between starting my yoga practice in 2001 and becoming a teacher in 2021, I became a Reiki practitioner. So that's that energy element of the Reiki practice paired with the expansion of the energy in the yoga practice, I feel is a really powerful combination. The yoga that I teach is more about getting the energy moving more freely through you, because in our Western world, we have become very stagnant. And the layers of stagnant energy that we sort of are encapsulated in is creating a lot of suffering and a lot of division and a lot of chaos in our world.
And yoga is a beautiful way to release that. Body work is a beautiful way to release that. Movement is a beautiful way to release that.
And I shouldn't say we need, but it would benefit our world if more people did those things. And I think that we're seeing a huge shift, at least from, the bubble that I live in. I think we're seeing a huge shift with more people wanting to teach these things and more people wanting to participate in these practices.
More people are looking to discover their true self, not the groomed self. And it's scary to take our corporate career and set it aside, or to walk away from it and discover our true self.
Because in our modern society, what we are being told is security is money, right?
Exactly.
That false sense of protection. And I bought into that for many years.
As I did.
And when I left my corporate job as a pretty darn successful forensic examiner, which is a whole nother story, I walked away from financial security. And it was more important for me to follow my true nature, which was to expand out and to help other people on their healing journey rather than accumulate more wealth. Yeah.
Exactly.
So one of the things that I like to remind practitioners of when they're in a yoga class is when we cultivate that peace inside of us and we can allow that energy to radiate out of us. When we leave our yoga mat, that energy continues to radiate out and it affects everyone that we come in contact with, whether we have that interaction or not. It creates a ripple effect. So we can create ripple effects by throwing stones of chaos and confusion into the pond of life, or we can create a ripple effect of creating peace and harmony and love and compassion and empathy. And that's what I would like to create more of, those stones of beauty and betterment into the pond of life. Create more of that in this community that expands out into the world. And I do have to say that this community of Brandon, Vermont is unbelievable. I've never lived in a community like this before. Mm. And I've lived in the Aloha state of Hawaii for a few years, and there's not as much aloha there than there is here in Brandon. And I mean that wholeheartedly. This community is incredible.
It is. Like I said earlier in the conversation, I moved here, 6 months ago, and I feel very much a part of this community. Interestingly, I moved back here. I was here 35 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it feels so good to be back, and to actually be here.
So you touched on something very interesting, and I wanted to ask you a question about that. I feel like this area, Brandon, Vermont, I feel like a lot of healers are being drawn to this area. And you were drawn back. I was randomly drawn here. And I just see a lot of different healers being drawn to this area. Do you think there's any significance in that?
I'm noticing more healers everywhere I go. Now, is that because what you focus on expands? Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to help others, whether it's through shamanic journeying or through forest bathing or through Reiki. There are so many ways to guide people on their healing journeys.
to bring out the healer in them, because we're all healers.
Yes.
We all have the
Yes.
ability to heal ourselves.
Exactly.
So part of and maybe healer is not the right word, but facilitator for healing is to create a safe space. So before each yoga class that I teach, whether it's a private yoga class or a public yoga class, I get there very early and I create a safe container. So I do Reiki on the room, I charge the room with positive energy, and I create that container for healing for whoever shows up. And then when the students show up, they show up where they are, how they are in that moment. And then the healing from there just evolves.
I might share a story right now about one of my experiences in a yoga class. I think it was triangle pose. And as we were working through this pose, I felt like I just couldn't rotate my thoracic spine, and hitting this barrier, which I wasn't sure if it was joint related or muscle related, and it was hard to breathe in that position. At one point I took a breath and I was able to get, as much as I could tell, into the perfect position. And then I crumbled. I just fell to the mat and I sobbed. And something let go. I knew that it wasn't that I mobilized a joint or stretched out some soft tissue. I knew I released energy that was not serving me well. Mm-hmm. And boy, did it feel good to let it go.
Doesn't it feel good?
Yes, it does.
We all have, I shouldn't say we all, but I have very similar stories about pigeon pose, being in pigeon pose, because we hold those stories in our tissues, unresolved issues in our tissues. Those stories that we carry around, and we tend to hold them in the shoulders and in the hips. And when you get into a big, deep opener like that, and you feel safe enough to allow yourself to open and just let Pandora's box open up and let those old stories just flood out, it feels good and scary. But if you feel safe, you can just let it release. And that was a good teacher that just let you release that without bringing attention to it, created the safe container, and just held you energetically as you release that.
Precisely.
Yeah. So that brings something to mind. I often say, and this is 100% true, I could prepare for a class for days or hours or weeks. And then the energy that the students bring into the room is really what guides the class. So all that preparing, it helps to have an outline of what I want the class to be. But the energy that shows up is really what's guiding the class. And it's amazing from class to actually feel the difference of the energy in the room.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful to witness and to be a part of that. So yeah, the group classes, that's why, when we had to go to Zoom classes several years ago, because we were kind of locked down from things, I think there was a huge part of the practice that was missing because we weren't in a studio together. And now having that, having that freedom back to get back into a class, it's powerful to be in a room full of other people that are on a similar journey. Yeah.
Yes. And that whole story is so parallel to what Steve and I talk about and how we plan our retreats. Is we've got our plan and we have our bag of tricks, for lack of a better word right now, and the group always steers the retreat. I love hearing you say that because I can see that in you. You and I do a lot of private yoga, but I have been in your class, and I can see that you're very good at reading the room, whether it's just me or a group of people.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's a passion. I believe that this is something that my soul is here to do and to help bring people back to their true nature. And one of the ways that we can do that is to get on the yoga mat and to find that union, because people don't know that the word yoga actually means union, seemingly separate parts coming together.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's what yoga means. It means union. And each time we come to the mat, we have an opportunity to find that union within. So when we return to the world, we can share that with everyone and help to unite our neighbors and our families and communities, and so on. The ripple effect starts.
This is a great place to stop this conversation. But before we do, I would love for you to be able to share with the audience how we can get a hold of you and maybe what some of your other offerings are.
Yeah, well, thank you. I have a website, melanieredel.com, Redel. And on there you will find the Reiki offerings, the yoga offerings. I have private classes, and once a month I do a restorative yoga practice infused with Reiki energy, so that's always fun. And if you ever have any questions, melanieredelyoga@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. And I also do a donation-based yoga. So part of my offering is to make it affordable to anyone who wants to practice yoga. So whether you have $1 or whatever, come, show up, take a class, see if you like it. And and then the Reiki is sliding scale, whatever you can afford. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Healing one world at a time, excluding no one.
That's right.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Well, it's such a pleasure to see your beautiful face and to have this conversation. And I am so grateful that we were able to sit down and do this.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Yeah, appreciate you.
If you want more information about this episode, visit us on the web at theyurt@trillium.com and click on the Peercast tab. A special thanks to Steve Devoni for the production of this Peercast. Thank you for joining me, and may our paths cross again.